What's good, Commanders fans? I'm not going to make a Commanders joke. I'm just not. It's too easy, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to keep it serious. The Washington Commanders have signed Alex Erickson, wide receiver, punt returner / kick returner. He is 6 feet, 195 pounds. Now, some people, he's 20, he's born in 1992, so he's 20, he's 29 years old, was undrafted out of Wisconsin, played for the Cincinnati Bengals, and was a UDFA in 2016. Played for the Bengals for 5 years. Then played with Carolina last year in 2021. So that's his story. He was a walk-on at Wisconsin, worked his way up. You look at his college numbers. Honestly, man, he did some work in college. Man, he did some work for a walk-on, working his way up. He had 55 catches for 772 yards and 3 touchdowns at Wisconsin in 2014. Then 2015, he had 77 catches for 978 yards and 3 touchdowns. So this guy, he's got a little pop to him, some wiggle to him. He can make some guys miss a little bit. He's not super electric or, super fast or super speedy, but he has enough speed. He can make guys miss for sure. He's a solid punt returner. He could be a slot receiver as well. So he you want to think about him as your DeAndre Carter replacement or your Dax Milne competition for that punt returner spot. We didn't draft a guy for we didn't draft a guy specifically for that punt return. I mean, you could say Jahan Dotson, something like that. You could say Jahan Dotson, but let me see his 40. So yeah, he ran a 4.5 40-yard dash. He ran a 4.5. Alex Erickson ran a 4.5 40-yard dash. So he's got solid speed to him. You can use him offensively if he does make the roster. He could be more than just a punt returner, kick returner. You use him with jet sweeps, different things like that. He's actually a solid slot receiver. He can be somewhat of a chain mover or your Adam Humphries replacement, because I highly doubt Adam Humphries is coming back. But yes, he did play with the Panthers, but he did not play with the Panthers while Ron Rivera was coaching there. So that is the difference with this Commanders pickup. But I did find some stats on him, some different things about him. He did have a punt return against the Washington, at the time, Redskins, when Dwayne Haskins was the quarterback. I think Dwayne Haskins, he was the quarterback. This is the game where Dwayne threw the touchdown to Robert Davis. Alex Erickson ran a 75-yard punt return back for a touchdown at FedEx Field. So he did that. And he had a good, solid year being a receiver in the league, too. So year 2017, it was the year, it was 2019. He had 43 catches for 529 yards. That's solid. That's good. That's good receiver production right there. That is more than what our second leading wide receiver did last year in J.D. McKissic. That's more yards than J.D. McKissic. J.D. McKissic had a great year, but that just shows you that we did not have a wide receiver number. I'm not expecting this guy, Alex Erickson, to come in and be a wide receiver number 2 at all, but we just need a solid punt returner, somebody that can, flip the field. I thought DeAndre Carter did a solid job, had a muff here and there. Coming from Steve Sims, I thought DeAndre Carter definitely did a better job, way better, and he had a kick return touchdown as well. So I liked some of the things that DeAndre Carter did for sure. But this guy, Alex Erickson, definitely brings some competition to that punt returner spot. And I like the guy that's undrafted that we just signed, Jaquiz Denard is his name. I hope I'm not butchering his name, but I like him as a pickup as well. But some other interesting stats that I found, he was the PFF's top returner of the 2016 preseason as well. Weeks 15 through 17, he had a receiving grade of 77.9, which was first among Bengals receivers, which was 14th in the league. And he ran 2.09 yards per route run, 17th in the league, which was first among Bengals wide receivers. That was in week 15 through 17 of the 2018 season. So I thought he did a couple good things there. He had one game where he had 11 catches for 121 yards with 13 targets. So he's solid, man. He's solid. 6 feet, 195 pounds. Was a solid kick returner, and that's what we need him to do. Now, he did have a fumble in 2020, which happens from time to time. You look at some of the fumbles, because muff punts is what's going to be very, very important. We have problems with guys muffing punts and fumbling and whatnot. 2017, he had 7 fumbles. 2016, he had 3 fumbles. 2019, he had 4 fumbles. 2020, he had 2 fumbles. But look at his kick return numbers. 2021, he had 23 returns for 204 yards, 2 kick returns for 57 yards. So he didn't put up big numbers. Solid numbers. 2020, he had 23 punt returns for 232 yards, and then he had 3 kick returns for 71 yards. He's never had a touchdown in either one in a regular season game. But in the preseason, he has. His career high was 278 yards for a punt return. His longest punt return was 38 yards. His longest kick return in a game was 84 yards. He didn't even score a touchdown on it. So, but he did a good job his rookie year. 2018, he had 1,049 kick return yards, which is pretty darn good. And he had a long run kick return for 77 yards. So, I'm intrigued by the signing. I'm intrigued. It's an interesting signing. Now, I do want to get to Landon Collins. Per Chad Ryan, there's mutual interest. We already know that, the Commanders have been talking about that Buffalo nickel position forever. That's the position they've been talking about the most. And Chad Ryan, a guy who used to cover the Washington team or Commanders or at the time Redskins, he said that there is mutual interest in a reunion with Landon Collins and the Washington Commanders. So we'll see. I'm all for it. He did a really good job in the 4-game winning streak in the latter half of the season. The beginning of the year was rough for Landon, but towards the end, he did a lot better. The punch out, forcing the fumble against the Seahawks, the interception against the Eagles when it went off Dallas Goedert's foot, and then he picked up a fumble and almost ran it back when Jalen Hurts fumbled. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers game, he was striking and hitting and covering really, really well against Tom Brady. He was a big part of why we won that game. The Raiders game, I thought he did pretty well. Like I said, the Seahawks game. What other game was in the 4-game winning streak? We beat the Raiders, the Buccaneers. We beat the Panthers. I thought he was solid in coverage in that game, too. Even the Broncos lost. He was just in the backfield, tearing stuff up, tackling guys behind the line of scrimmage. When he was, when he played that linebacker role, which I guess they, Buffalo Nickel, Big Nickel is an old name. It's not like they made the name up, but it made it sound better for Landon Collins. So they wanted to cater to him because, Landon would get mad. Every time somebody called him a linebacker, he was like, I'm not a box safety. He would get mad at that all the time on social media. Somebody would say something to him. He would clap back and respond and really get in his feelings. So, and, they came to him with a pay cut. For the first pay cut, he said, fine, I'm good with the first pay cut. Then the second pay cut after getting Wentz, they asked him again, and I didn't blame him for saying, no, just release me, just cut me. But you look at the market, nobody's tried to pick him up at all. So, hey, it is what it is. Maybe we can bring him back, and he can fill that Buffalo nickel role that they're really looking, that big nickel, that linebacker hybrid safety type role. So I really think he would excel in that role and play really, really good. Now, Jack Del Rio has been acting, crazy on Twitter. I don't know if you saw where he said, somebody said we're in 12th in the power rankings. And Jack Del Rio puffed out his chest. I forgot what he said I got to pull up the tweet, but I just don't like when we talk big in the offseason. We did it last year. Chase Young talking about sacks and whatnot. Not going to get into it too much, but Jack, sometimes he does talk crazy on Twitter. He just needs to relax. But I would bring Landon Collins back. Got to look at the money. June 1st, we're going to have more salary cap space as well. So I'm thinking about a 1-year, $3 million, $4 million deal, something like we just gave Trey Turner. 1 year, $4 million something dollar deal. Now, James Bradberry, he might get released by the Giants. I think that's something that we should definitely snoop around and look at. Now, I know that would probably cost too much. Look at his contract. He's getting like a 3-year, $45 million deal. So I highly, highly doubt that Ron would, take on that. But if he gets released, then it's a different story. James Bradberry signed a 3-year, $43 million deal. Now, the reason why I say we would look at this is because, of course, James Bradberry played for the Panthers. And he's a former Panther, was coached by Ron Rivera, and he fits the scheme, that zone. He's a really, really good zone corner, and he's a really good matchup corner. He's really good at that. He's not great in man, but he is a solid corner. Pro Bowl corner is legit, and he would definitely help out. Now, is it really a big need? No, but we know they were looking for, they had interest in Joe Hayden. They had interest in Patrick Peterson. So I would keep an eye out on Joe Hayden, but if James Bradberry's released, then you can never have too much corner depth. So it would make our secondary a lot better. Our secondary was definitely really bad last year. Letting guys like Landon Collins, the Saints game, let somebody run right past him. He really, really struggled in the beginning of the season, but as it went along, and I think James Bradberry would definitely help just put more talent on the roster, So you look at some of his numbers, Bradberry, he in 2020, he was really good. 2021, he regressed. In 2020, his PFF grade was 79.8. And then in 2021, he had a grade of 62.8. And then this year, he had a 79.1 zone coverage grade, but he had a 40.1 man coverage grade. So Jack Del Rio does play a lot of zone. So I think he would fit the scheme. Even though Will Jackson is a better man corner, you're going to switch it up from time to time. Maybe you could put Will Jackson on the island and have the rest of the field play zone and mismatch coverages. So I would take a look at James Bradberry. Just look at the situation, see if he gets released. Maybe there's somebody they can bring in, another Panther, another former Panther. You guys let me know what you guys think, man. Hell to the Commanders. Peace.